Maybe you've heard of it, maybe your coworker plays it, maybe you've seen a bunch of weirdos chasing after a disc in the park. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what the sport is, why it's so cool to watch and to play, and why so many people choose the shirt number 42. Also, what a universe point is, or what players do when they make the greatest play. This is the ultimate sport. That's right, it's actually called Ultimate.
Frisbee Ultimate!
We will try to make it as catchy as possible. While the first discus was thrown all the way back in ancient Greece, the first plastic disc wasn't invented until over 5,000 years later in the USA in 1948, and the sport itself wasn't invented until 20 years after that. College students created the game based on rules and concepts from football, American football, and basketball. They played mainly in parking lots, refining the game and creating new rules every time they played.
The school had built a parking lot, and for some reason it was lit at night.
Even though everyone called the discs they played with Frisbees, the term had already been trademarked by Whammo Incorporated.
It doesn't say Whammo, it isn't a Frisbee.
So the students christened the new sport Ultimate instead. The first person who called it that earned a space in the Museum of Human Misery.
Museum of Human Misery?
Oh, yeah.
White person to grow dreadlocks, and first person to call Ultimate Frisbee Ultimate! These two rules!
Which is purely fictional, but based on the truth. Anyway, back to reality. How is the game played? Points are scored by passing the disc to a teammate in the opposing end zone.
You were having to pass it to somebody who was across the goal line. That was, and so we decided, that's how you scored a point, was when you passed it successfully to somebody across a goal line. But on the other hand, what's so wonderful and what was so wonderful about the Frisbee is that it's so much more fluid than the downs, first, second, third, fourth down, right. And in that way, soccer, with the constant movement back and forth and just changing teams and had more of the fluidity of what made sense for a Frisbee.
Scoring 15 points with your teammates wins you the game. Each team has 7 players on the field for a point and can sub on a whole new line of players in between points. Interceptions, incomplete passes, and passes that fly out of bounds are turnovers. The opposing team can pick up the disc immediately after the turnover. There are no stoppages like in American football. Players must not take any steps while holding the disc, and it is also a non-contact sport. Any contact that affects the play or is deemed dangerous is a foul that is called by the player, not a referee, but more on that later. Rain and wind can join forces with the opposing team to make for a testing match with lots of turnovers, making the sport exciting to watch either on the sideline or online. So you may be thinking, what makes this sport so interesting or different from other sports? Well, let me tell you. First of all, spirit. From its beginnings in the American counterculture of the late 1960s, Ultimate, there we go, now we've called it Ultimate too. Ultimate has resisted empowering any referee with rule enforcement. Instead, it relies on the sportsmanship of players and invokes the spirit of the game to maintain fair play. Players call their own fouls and can ask for the opinions of the other players on the pitch and even the sideline to resolve disputes.
Sideline does not like that at all. There are boos from the stands, Benji.
There's a lot of people around level with that line putting their hand in the air saying they think it should be a goal.
There's even examples of players consulting the live streamers or photographers on the sideline to give a visual perspective on in-out calls and similar disputes. Not having a referee present to make the final call can sometimes cause drama both on and off the field, since players often have different opinions on what happened, how much contact there was, whether or not it affected the play, and so on. The live chat section during games and the Ultimate subreddit afterwards are full of thoughts and people disagreeing over calls. It's especially interesting when we mic up the players so that you can hear what they say to each other on the pitch. Things can get really competitive, but during high-stakes games, players are able to maintain an extremely high level of sportsmanship. Ultimate is split into 3 divisions. Open, which is open to all regardless of gender, but is mostly played by men, especially at the higher levels. Women's, self-explanatory, and mixed. In the mixed division, there must be at least 3 of each gender on the line, so either 4 female matching and 3 male matching players, or vice versa. Playing mixed arguably adds an extra dimension of difficulty to the game, as you have to adapt your throws to players with a higher variety of speeds and heights than in the single-gender divisions. Having people of all genders playing together in one team also opens up conversations about gender equity in sports. Representation is very important, and when kids can see that men and women play together in a team on the world stage, they will see that's normal. Anyways, we love mixed. Like with basketball, the disc and the momentum of play can move very quickly across and up and down the field, and there can be a lot of points scored in a game. Players cannot hold the disc for longer than 10 seconds, so the game is fast-paced almost by design.
That one goes. Defense is in front and got just enough of a piece of it. A great play by Katie Flight. She took flight indeed.
A nice inside line there from Flight, recognizing that the disc was coming down a little bit earlier than would have been ideal for the offense to have an opportunity, getting a hand on it first of all, and then following it up at the back of the end zone to make sure there was no second opportunity.
Games last for about 60 to 90 minutes and can be very intense right up until the end, especially at the end. Besides that, because the way a disc flies in the air is less predictable than a ball, it can be mesmerising watching a disc soar up into the air, wobble, and start to descend, two opposing players jostling for position underneath it. Because it can hang in the air, it allows for some amazingly athletic plays as well. And of course, Ultimate players have their own names for them. So, on to the next thing you should know about Ultimate, some of the lingo. Here are 7 things you might hear on the sideline or the live streams. Number 1. Sky. To grab the disc in the air over the opponent, often used as a verb. Oh, I totally skied her. Number 2. Huge D. Not a big dinner, donkey, dumbass, or anything else, but a player intercepting or blocking the other team's pass in an impressive way, like this. Number 3. Layout. A player propels their body horizontally towards the disc. This can happen offensively to catch a far or low disc, or defensively to intercept the disc and force a turnover. Universe point, what Ultimate players call double game point, with the next point winning.
42. 42? Yes, I thought it over quite thoroughly. It is, it's 42. It would have been simpler, of course, to have known what the actual question was.
But it was the question. The ultimate question. Of everything.
That's not a question. Only when you know.
Similar to a universe point, half-time in a match is usually taken when one team scores 8 points, so galaxy point is 7 all.
Who's going to take this galaxy point and send to the end zone?
Number 6. Callahan. A defensive player catches the disc in the far end zone while defending. This yields an immediate score for the defending team. If you throw it, it's like scoring an own goal, as this end zone is the defending team's end zone to score in. Considered a very impressive achievement. Well, catching one, not throwing one. Number 7. Greatest. A player jumps out of bounds for the disc and while in the air before landing, throws the disc back inside the field. Only counts as a greatest if someone on your team then catches the disc. This is considered an even more impressive achievement.
Nelly Brondex is going to reach for Mitch Hanna. Hanna is all the way out of bounds and he attempts the greatest. It does come back.
Wow, that was a very courageous play. I thought he was going to run into the fence there. Oh, he did run at the fence. But that disc was always getting pushed out by the wind.
Where is Ultimate now? Currently, Ultimate is played by millions of people around the world, and there are about 150,000 officially registered players in over 30 countries. It exists in many forms, from casual games in the park to international competitions. Most players start at either school or university and then go on to play club or stick to more social leagues or the occasional weekend game with friends. Some players who started back in the 60s and 70s still play now, though mostly on the beach. Running and doing layups on sand is much more fun and less hard on the joints than on grass. At a higher level, there are 2 semi-pro leagues in the US a retired mixed pro league in Australia, and a mixed gender Champions League concept currently in the making in Europe. These leagues are semi-pro because players don't have to pay to play and get some compensation for playing a game. But nobody in those leagues is a full-time Ultimate player. Yet. Games tend to be live streamed on YouTube or Facebook, but also sometimes on major sports channels worldwide.
Espen? Oh, that's never gonna work.
Live streams are also currently usually indirectly financed by the clubs and players through tournament fees and not by the fans watching. We are changing that by having fans fund us and also making partnerships with brands. There are also a bunch of challenges with diversity and gender equity, like most other sports, but that deserves a whole other video.
Oh, incredible play, Conor McHale.
The summer of 2022 is jam-packed with tons of Ultimate content from all over the world. If you don't like getting YouTube notifications, check the description of this video to get a notification email whenever we go live instead. There are also loads of tournaments happening, which you can attend either as a player or a spectator. You can find them on ULTICAL, link in the description. Subscribe, like the video if you liked it, share it around, and/or buy us a cup of coffee, because there's many more videos like this coming to a screen near you very soon. We will need caffeine to get them out.